Eat, Drink, DFW from the Dallas Morning News is made possible by Central Market.
Hello, and welcome to Eat, Drink, DFW, the podcast from the Dallas Morning News food team. Each week, we take a look at food and drink trends in North Texas, talk about restaurants in Dallas-Fort Worth, learn some recipes, and sometimes even get tips from you, our listeners. I'm Anna Butler, the Dallas Morning News' food editor. This week, we're getting into some of Dallas's hottest restaurant openings of the year and sharing some info on celebrities dining in town. That's all coming up right after this.
Central Market is really into food. Like when we say cheese, it's in 12 languages into food. Butchers, bakers, and sushi roll makers into food. We're talking so obsessive about quality you can shop blindfolded into food. Central Market is really into food. If you are too, then let us turn your shopping list into a treasure map. Get inspired, get adventurous, or just get a chef-made dinner when you've got more taste buds than time. No place makes every meal more amazing like Central Market. Really into food. Shop now at centralmarket.com.
For the latest food and restaurant news in Dallas-Fort Worth, visit dallasnews.com/food. Also, we'd love to hear from you, so email us at eatdrink@dallasnews.com. Today, I'm joined by our food writers, Sarah Blaskovich and Imelda Garcia. We're going to start with celebrity sightings. Actors Sydney Sweeney, Glenn Powell, and John Stamos were spotted at several Dallas restaurants recently. It's just kind of fun to realize that these celebrities eat tacos too, or at least pretend to.
Indeed, they do. These three were seen at Joe Leo on Fitzhugh Avenue in Dallas. Reports also say some of them dined at Hudson House and at Park House. Now, I think all three of them are famous in their own right, but I just want to say, of these three celebrities, far and away the most famous one in my mind is Uncle Jesse from Full House.
Which we had someone on staff that was like, will people know who John Stamos is? And we were like, are you kidding me?
Gasp. Yeah, he's the reason why I want to go back to Joe Leo.
Fantastic chili con queso. Okay, so now on to some meatier food news. Sarah, you were impressed by a new restaurant in Uptown called Domo Domo Co. It was one of the most anticipated restaurant openings of the year. What do we need to order here?
Well, here's the fun part. You do not order. So Domo Domo Co. is a Japanese Korean restaurant with a 7-course tasting. You show up and they feed you.
Sarah, I want to know everything about the menu. Is it affordable? Is it expensive?
I would say it is on the pricier side. It's $135 per person to dine at Domo Domo Co. And then that does not include wine pairings or upcharges like caviar or A5 Wagyu.
But if we are talking about a tasting menu, it's one of the most quote-unquote affordable tasting menus in town, probably. Again, though, I'm not saying this is cheap, but that's a cheaper price tag.
It's a great point, Anna. Eating at these tasting menus, especially if we're looking at the 18 to 20 course omakase restaurants that we already have in Dallas, you're paying upwards of $185, $200 per person for those. This is half that number of courses or less, but $135 a person. It does feel a little bit more reasonable, while I would still say is a really exciting, expensive night out. Now, some of the highlights on the menu, I in fact had a dish that I have been thinking about ever since I ate there. It is the second course. It is a cold fish soup, and it is colorful and bright and sour and spicy and a little bit of sweet. It is one of those dishes that makes you think while you eat it, but it's made of diced flounder, little bits of diced cucumber, and red grapes sitting in a broth, and then a second broth is poured in. There's so many different flavors and textures here that it's kind of hard to explain in words without experiencing it and seeing it. But that was just one of many of these 7 courses that I was surprised by, delighted by, and would go back again and again to try.
I think a lot of people must go now before all the prices can go up with all these tariffs.
Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen, right, what that's going to mean for restaurants that are importing food, and fish could be one of those. Imelda, it's a great point.
Tell me about the caviar and the Wagyu.
Yeah, these feel very Dallas. So there's a caviar cart, and the GM pushes a cart through the restaurant and stops in front of your table if you've accepted the $35 upgrade for a caviar hand roll. And a hand roll is seaweed on the outside in the shape of maybe a taco, and it has warm rice inside of it. And then the caviar hand roll is quite simply a bunch of scoops of caviar put into this seaweed. You eat it like a tiny little caviar burrito, and it is outrageous and expensive. Caviar is something I don't need to pay extra for. I like it, but I don't love it. But I think some people listening love it. And if so, that seems like a $35 upgrade for you.
Sarah, I think you had a $1 million idea. Caviar tacos and caviar burritos. I would love to see that.
It sounds very Dallas, doesn't it? That's funny. There is one other upcharge at the restaurant. It's an extra $35 if you want the A5 Wagyu. And that to me was absolutely worth the money. This is some of the world's most beautiful beef. The marbling on it is incredible. It is the kind of thing you take a bite and I just closed my eyes. And me and that Wagyu had a little bit of a moment when we had dinner at Domo Domo.
One of the things that struck you the most about this, Sarah, is that it felt so different from other Dallas restaurants. Why does it feel that way?
Yes, Anna. So I often talk about food like I think about music, which is that everything has been done before. We're all playing with the same ingredients, just like musicians are using the same chords. And so it's great when a restaurant feels special, not just good, but different. And Domo Domo did that for me. It's only been open a few weeks, and I expect this place to get even better as we head toward Michelin season.
I want to go back to the close your eyes idea. Did you need a cigarette for that pleasure, Sarah, after that?
Never been a smoker, but it was an intimate experience. I'll say I had dinner there with my husband, and I would have called it a date, except a Dallas Morning News photographer joined us as well. So it was me and Chase and Shafkat, and the three of us had a lovely dinner date.
Shafkat also crashed my date on Sunday.
No.
He just keeps showing up to take beautiful photos.
Imelda, you reported on a second location opening of Tiffany Derry's Radici. What do we need to know about this?
Yeah, I think this is great news for Grand Prairie. So Radici is going to open a new location on April 15th, so it's next week. Chef Tiffany Derry, we all know about her,
of course,
will showcase her Italian dishes. The first Radici opened in May 2024 in Farmers Ranch, and this place has been a success there with their house-made pasta and their huge wood-fire grill. So this new place will have floor-to-ceiling windows, a vertical green wall, so it can also host like weddings and corporate gatherings. Tiffany Derry is a celebrity chef. She was part of the Top Chef in 2010, and she was named the fan favorite because of her story. I mean, she started at 15 years old at IHOP, so she has like this history of being a grounded chef, and we love that. Co-founder Tom Foley is a big part of this restaurant. All the Italian cuisine dishes were always present at his family table. So Foley and Derry partnered in 2016 to create T2D Concepts, and they are defined as purpose-driven hospitality group. Tom Foley gave an interview to Bold Journey in 2023, and he said, at T2D Concepts, we are fueled by a spirit of service and a hunger to drive social change, working to bridge the gender and racial wealth gap in the hospitality industry through the power of food and meaningful dialogue around the table. So I think it's a great place to go, not only because the food will be amazing, but also because it's a purpose-driven restaurant.
And one of Dallas's quirkiest concepts is reopening this spring. Sarah, will you be going to Good Surf?
Well, funny enough, I was asked to go to Good Surf for work last year and declined.
Why?
Now, I did interview the owners and wrote about it, but this is an actual surf bar where you put on a wetsuit or a bathing suit and you surf on a man-made wave in the middle of a bar. And I just didn't love the idea of wearing beach attire for work. So I didn't surf in front of these people I was going to interview. But to answer your question, Anna, I will totally go to Good Surf with my friends. Now, this surf bar is in Deep Ellum in the former Sandbar Cantina. The surf bar opened last year, but this month, Dallas chef Nick Badavinas has created a surf-themed menu for the bar, and that's the part that's new. The restaurant within the surf club is called Quality Hang, which I think is just a rad name.
And it's basically open seasonally because people don't necessarily want to surf year round.
You would think, right. They, I guess, technically will be able to surf, on days that are moderately chilly, but this seems highly seasonal to me.
And Sarah, remind us about what other restaurants Nick Badavinas owns in Dallas.
Sure, yes. He's the guy behind Neighborhood Services, which has for years been considered by some as Dallas's best American restaurant. He also owns Town Hearth, which is a steakhouse, and Montlake Cut, a seafood spot, and lots of others. I will note that Quality Hang is a collab, so it's not really a Nick Badavinas restaurant, just a place where he created the menu.
So does that mean we won't get voodoo sauce?
Nick Badavinas is famous for this sauce that he puts on all kinds of stuff. I don't know, Anna. Good question.
You can read about all of these things by visiting dallasnews.com/food. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to learn about how a beloved Easter tradition came to be.
Central Market is really into food. Like when we say cheese, it's in 12 languages into food. Butchers, bakers, and sushi roll makers into food. We're talking so obsessive about quality you can shop blindfolded into food. Central Market is really into food. If you are too, then let us turn your shopping list into a treasure map. Get inspired, get adventurous, or just get a chef-made dinner when you've got more taste buds than time. No place makes every meal more amazing like Central Market. Really into food. Shop now at centralmarket.com.
Welcome back. We're about to get into just why we eat chocolate bunnies on Easter, but first, we'd love it if you would help us spread the word about our podcast. If you like it, please tell your friends or anyone you think would appreciate all the important information we share each week. It would mean the world to us. Okay, Imelda, you have spent days becoming an expert on just how chocolate bunnies came to be part of Easter food tradition. Enlighten us.
Yeah, I got a PhD on Easter bunnies. On this, yeah.
I love it.
Chocolate ones in particular.
Yeah, in particular, yeah. So they are symbols with pagan roots, actually. And they all started more than 1,000 years in Europe. In old German folklore, there was a goddess named Eostri. This was the goddess of fertility. So when the rituals were made, they used the eggs and the rabbits because they were symbols of birth and fertility. So in the 1600s, also in Germany, they started to have these spring celebrations with colored eggs. They were given to the kids that behave well. So, So in the 1700s, German immigrants brought this tradition to America. And well, the eggs are a symbol of the resurrection of new life of Jesus. So it's full of symbolism. And now, why chocolate? Well, in the 1900s, the chocolate had a boom in Europe. And of course, the eggs and the bunnies were a natural for companies, you know. And they made not only the chocolate eggs, but also the jelly beans. So this is a very important tradition here in America. Let me put this in numbers. Each year, 90 million chocolate Easter bunnies and 90 million chocolate eggs are sold annually. So what about you guys? Do you have like this tradition in your home?
We do. I love a chocolate Easter bunny.
My parents didn't like to get us the big bunnies because they were hard to eat and then they were messy. So we definitely had candy.
Imelda, did your research tell you why every child is required to eat the ears off the bunny first?
No, that's beyond my PhD. I'm so sorry.
That's just a matter of preference. I couldn't think of how to eat it except for to start gnawing on the ear.
I think Julie knows.
I don't have any real information, but my mother used to buy tons of those chocolate Reese's eggs. Do you remember those? The kind of bigger ones?
Yeah.
She would hide them from us, not like in an Easter egg hunt thing, just so she could go back and eat them later. Of course, I would find it and like steal some of them. To me, it's like none of the chocolate stuff is worth it unless it's got the peanut butter inside of it too.
And Imelda, you say this is a big deal in America. When you were growing up in Mexico, did you eat chocolate Easter bunnies and chocolate Easter eggs?
No, actually, they don't have that tradition in Mexico. It's interesting. We are just all about suffering and Lent and, fasting and everything, but no chocolate reward for us, no.
Oh, this speaks to me as a Catholic kid. Imelda,
Yeah.
I understand you deeply.
Yeah.
We just here in America conflate a Hallmark holiday and a Christian holiday together so that we can make a lot of money for the candy companies.
Oh.
Okay, to finish up, Anna, I want you to tell us about the dish you were just telling me about that you made at home recently.
Oh, yeah. My sisters came over on Friday night to play Mahjong, and I told them I really wanted to cook dinner, but I didn't know what I wanted to cook.
Yep,
And then
get
I
it.
remembered something I'd wanted to try with them. I'd had it with my boyfriend and a few other friends for dinner parties. Essentially, I seared chicken, but the magic really happens with this like super simple Boursin sauce. So you need like an entire thing of Boursin cheese. You can get any of the flavors. And what you want to do is basically chop half an onion, maybe a whole one if you're feeding 6 people. You're going to saute the onions until they're soft. You're going to add 3/4 of a cup of chicken stock. Bring it to a simmer. You're going to stir in the Boursin cheese, and then you've got the perfect cheese sauce. It is absolutely delicious.
So it's stock and cheese only in the bottom
stock,
of your saucepan.
Cheese and onion. I guess you could cut the onions if you have kids. I added parsley at the end. I let it simmer for about 5 minutes, stuck the chicken in to reheat, poured the chicken juice off the plate from when it was just, to the side chilling. But you could have this with steak. It would be delicious. Pork chops, it would be delicious. You could really just do it with vegetables too. But that is one of the easiest, fastest, fake fanciest looking sauces you could do.
Were your guests happy?
They were very happy. And you have to remember, this is probably more of like a fall winter dish, but man, it's been disgusting in Dallas for a few
cold.
weeks now. It was cold. So I was like, you know what? A cheesy cream sauce sounds great right now.
I don't know. Cheese knows no season, Anna. I think that sounds great year round.
And that's all the time we have for today. And we want to hear from you. Email us your food questions and food thoughts at eatdrink@dallasnews.com. And if you've missed an episode of the Eat Drink DFW podcast, we invite you to catch up. Make sure you're following Eat Drink DFW wherever you find your podcasts. Special thanks to our producer, Julie Fisk. For the news, I'm Anna Butler. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Eat, Drink, DFW from the Dallas Morning News is made possible by Central Market.